right, Mr. Trent Ebarb. What's going on, my friend?
Man, here just recently living it up.
Yes.
Just had a big performance Saturday night.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Appreciate that. Like to say, all glory to God, but hard work pays off.
Yes.
So it was good. It was crazy. Ford Arena, it's a big deal to me because, I grew up in the 409. I grew up going to the monster truck shows. I got my high school diploma in that building. And then when I got hit with the opportunity that they're going to have MMA fights put on in Ford Arena, oh, dude, I was excited. I felt like, dude, that's my backyard. I got to defend the home base. And I wasn't a football kid that played throughout high school. I wasn't the baseball kid that played throughout high school or all these school sports where everyone got to show off. In high school, I was always telling people, like, yeah, I train. Yeah, I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I box. But no one got to see any of that stuff. So it wasn't until they came to Beaumont that I got to show that out. Like, look, bro, I wasn't playing. All the way back then, I was meant that.
Well, let me just go ahead and say congratulations on that TKO victory. It was an incredible performance. And because of you, I lost my voice for about a good 24 hours. So thanks for that. I tried to do a podcast yesterday, and my voice is cracking in the middle of it. It's just not there. We had a pretty good crew out there just doing some serious screaming. So again, congratulations on that. And that's an incredible job that you did. And it's obvious that, you have been putting in the work and you have been focused. So again, congratulations.
Appreciate that, for real. It means a lot.
So give me a little bit more about your history. You started, mixed martial arts at a young age.
Yeah, actually, so my dad and uncle are black belts under Horace Gracie. Crazy back history on that is they're so OG to the game. They were Horace Gracie's 8th and 9th black belt ever handed out. They were before double digits, bro. He was still in his fresh early ages of being even recognized in America. So it almost became natural that one way or another I was going to know martial arts because my dad and uncle, that's how they horseplayed with me, was wrestling around. And they tried to get me in super young, maybe at 6, and then I wasn't entertained. I thought I was gonna be a soccer player or something. And they tried to get me at 10. Thought I was going to be an NFL star, so I wasn't interested. And it wasn't until I got to 14 that my dad put his foot down and was like, you're at least going to show up to class with me. You don't have to train. You're just at least going to be in the building. But I thought that was a waste of time if I'm just going to sit around. So I at least did class. And I was garbage. I was garbage for the first 2 years of my life because my dad really was only there for the adult advanced class. He didn't throw me in the kids class and let me get my fundamentals right. I didn't go to the basics and learn, the easy, not even say the easy stuff, the less steps. No, they threw me into deep waters and it said sink or swim.
Right.
And I think what clicked for me was I don't like this losing stuff. I don't like getting tapped out. So I just committed in my head that I'm going to get good at this because if I'm going to keep getting brought here, I don't want to get beat up and feel that feeling of someone choking me out, manhandling me around. So that became my determination. It never became about belts or promotions. It was, how do I stop this guy from ragdolling me around or manhandling me? That wasn't a good feeling. So I was like, dude, I'm going to just dive in on this craft. And so there was so much knowledge around throughout the gym. They're such high-level black belts that they always had the next answer for me. They're like, oh, you're getting stuck here, I noticed. Oh, you're getting subbed here. Do this. Quit doing this. And not just them, but the whole gym put in on. They were surrounded by great people that led me in the direction of growth instead of something selfish where they just used me as a punching bag.
Right. Well, I went to the gym for a couple months before I moved to Houston, and the work that they put in over there is some serious stuff. I tried a couple gyms over here in Houston, and it's nobody's really, focusing on, small details in the technique and things like that versus what I got at TPC, which is shout out to TPC, by the way. Shout out to your family.
Yeah.
And they do an amazing job out there.
Yep, they're out in Beaumont, Texas, on 19 Sawyer Street. Look them up if you're ever trying to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, anything, self-defense. They even have like women's classes, kids classes. They really invest in their craft and making sure it's a good product for someone to come by. And I think it's cool. It's just a small town. They're like that hidden legend, that gym that hasn't been found yet and blown up yet. But in due time, they will. They're going to keep. They produce so many world champions in BJJ alone, all the way from Masters division, which is like considered like 40 and up in age division, all the way to our young guys have gotten world champion medals. So it's like it doesn't matter how old, young, how athletic or unathletic, they invest time into their students, and like it's an environment that they create to get people to like level up. And I think that's something that's almost overlooked or gets pushed in the back with these big gyms because they have a lot going on where our gym has been focused on every individual. Right.
So you would say that your fighting style and technique is kind of based in the roots of this gym.
Easily. When people ask me all the time, like, what should you do in BJJ or how should you get started in MMA? I tell them you should pick one craft. Like, you need to become super good at one thing, and that's what I was blessed with BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, was I had that in my back pocket. No matter where I went in an MMA fight, I know if I got taken down, if I took them down, I had some good BJJ.
Right, feel comfortable there.
Yeah, and that's a huge to do. That's huge to like have at least one martial art you're confident in if you're ever thinking about going in MMA.
Right, and so what separates MMA from the rest of the combat sports? Like why not pursue a championship career in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
I think. Hey,
sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. I think that was my dreams for a while. That was my dreams for a while, was to become a world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I still feel like it's a still young sport that hasn't got a lot of recognition for how great it is. I mean, judo has been around for centuries. Boxing has been around. Wrestling has been around for centuries. They've had time to grow their fan base. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu really didn't get put on the market or put on people's eyes, and here in America at least, until 1997 when they had the very first UFC. So I think the money put into them isn't really there. It's not NFL status. You have to be the best in the world. Like Gordon Ryan is the only number one name.
Who's a beast, by the way.
Who's a beast, yeah. He's the number one name, and now he gets to live lavishly and do great things with his money, maybe pay for his mom a crib or something. But there's a select handful of guys that are doing that.
Right.
But so it's like you could become a world champion, but you know how many world champions that are broke still?
Right.
So I decided, like, I have world-class jiu-jitsu. Maybe I'm not world champion, but if I take that world class to MMA, man, you get in the top 10 of your just division, and you're changing your life, your family's life, what vacation you're going on, if you're looking at the receipt when you go out to a restaurant.
Right.
All that gets changed just for being with a business that has way more advertising, way more people investing into it, a bigger pocket.
Right. So you've obviously been involved in mixed martial arts and just combat sports in general for pretty much your whole life. You know, what kind of qualities do you think that is involved in being successful in that game?
Yeah, I think it's actually the longer I've done it and the more I've like grown in life, I feel like the biggest thing that comes with being successful, and not just this, but in a lot of things in life that you want to pursue, is understanding preparation. If you prepare in anything and you put a lot of time into it, you'll be confident when it's time to deliver.
Right.
You know, I think my confidence comes when I'm about to fight isn't the fact that I came from a badass gym or my parents are badasses or anything like that. It was the work that I put in early in the mornings when I didn't want to, or the late hours I put in, the extra studying that I did on film, or doing mental reps in my mind on what combos do I want to do, what did I not like or did I do like about practice.
Right.
And that's what gave me the confidence to actually deliver
Right.
In those moments.
Right. Yeah, I think there's definitely some beauty in consistency, you know, hard work, consistency, and yeah, it's a pretty incredible thing and a good quality that I don't think everybody has, you know, and yeah, if we did, then we would probably be in a lot better position in general. But you know, you obviously work pretty hard and you have that dedication and consistency. What's like your training schedule like?
So we have pro practice. I train out Team Alpha Male there in Sacramento, California, and pro practice is from 9:30 in the morning to 11. So, and they have that Monday through Friday, and that's more of like an expected thing. It's not, hey, show up if you feel like you want to. It's
Right.
No, like this is expected. If you're going to be on the pro team and you're going to claim to be a pro and rep this flag, like you need to be in practice so that way, like it's understood. It's a standard that's kind of there. So Monday through Friday, you're looking to be there from 9:30 to 11. I have a guy named John Butner who's another high level pro that works. That him and I will get together an hour before practice. So we're pulling up at 8:30 and working on specific techniques that we're trying to sharpen up. That we noticed, hey, when we spar, you know, this really good wrestler's holding me down, or this combo or this wall takedown. There's so many aspects that you can sharpen, you know, whether it's your boxing combos, your footwork, your BJJ, and that's what him and I will do. So I'll do technique with the isolated pro, then do some pro practice from 9:30 to 11, and then from there I recover. I eat, chill, sleep, and then I'm trying to get back for another one in the day of something specific, whether it's a specific boxing class, or a BJJ class, or I'm doing more wrestling, and even a private where you work with a coach. And that I think is super, super necessary for people to be doing, is invest in yourself to get a coach to look at you directly and help fast track you on whatever you're trying to better. And then two, even another one is strength and conditioning. You should be doing, I believe, if you're trying to hit that next level, hitting 2 to 3 workouts / programs in your day to better yourself. One a day, man, that's nothing. You could do one thing a day, and that's cool if you're doing your lifetime. But this game isn't a lifetime. You have a short window in this game, so you need to be hitting it 2-3 times a day. They don't all have to be super intense where you're super fatigued and you're breaking your body down, but you need to be showing up multiple times throughout your day, thinking about how you're going to better your craft.
Right.
So
that definitely takes passion too. It's not just commitment. It's passion. You gotta love what you do, and it's obvious that you do, which is extremely respectful. And that's why you have all them fans, man. I was surprised after your fight, dude. You were signing stuff and taking photos with people for probably definitely longer than that fight lasted. I'll tell you that.
I signed a kid's head. The first thing I did when I walked out of the cage was these kids were yelling at me to sign his shaved head. Worst head I've ever shaved. Proud of it.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. I know you ended up. Somebody ended up purchasing some merchandise off of you too, huh?
Man, yes. I had a guy come up and was super eager to get some winning gloves off of me, and once again, that was a thrill to me. That was exciting. So absolutely, we threw a number out there and we handshaked on it, and we had gloves for cash right then and there.
That's an investment for him, though.
Right?
Those gloves are going to be worth something if you definitely keep it up, which I know you will. So
appreciate that. As long as God forbid, you know, I'll stay doing the good works that He has me doing out here.
So, just changing topics real quick. You obviously have a pretty healthy lifestyle and whatnot. How are you balancing this work and play lifestyle, for example?
Yeah, for me, what works best for me is I'm a server at a cheesecake factory now.
Oh, the Cinnabon cheesecake.
Cinnabon cheesecake
my God.
is fabulous, but there's a lot of hidden gems under there that I can tell you about later that
Okay.
don't have the flashy names, but they're just as fabulous. But where I like to go is I like serving, and what works best for me is the money days are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you get fast cash, instant cash in hand that day that you go and work. So if you're low on gas money, you low on rent, you can go pick up a shift and instantly get money that night. And so I'll work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I maybe work 1 day, 2 days throughout the week, so that way I have the whole week to train and recover and focus on that. And then on the weekends when we're really not in practice, we're not in practice Friday night, Saturday.
Yeah,
really,
dive in and get that
or
cash.
Sunday, let me do some extra time in making those dollars, and that's what days are even worth it, or the Friday, Saturday, Sundays. And so I make, a living wage there, and then I get to invest in my future. And that's what's so beneficial to me.
Right. Man, I used to serve. I used to wait tables, and I would bring home money. I remember Floyd
cute
Mayweather.
Little face? I bet you did.
Know, I'd have a clean shave and everything. I know it was the Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao fight, and I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings, and this guy sits down, and he was like, smacked a pile of money on my table or on his table, and he was like, bring me a shot for every round of this fight, and you could have the rest, whatever's left. And I was like, done. So I think the fight lasted 12 rounds.
So he almost had to be walked out.
I don't know.
I hope he was getting appetizers and entrees.
Yeah, it was him and his friend and his friend's girlfriend. And she was like, I'm driving. They could drink whatever they want. And I was like, sold. I think he ended up leaving me like $250. So,
nice.
yeah.
And that's off one table.
One table.
But
they were kind of camping. But I mean, they paid for it. So
right. Yeah. No. Exactly. How many other jobs can you truly invest? I mean, you maybe worked 6 hours that night, 7 hours that night, and you're making plus $250.
Right. And that wasn't my only table either. So,
exactly my point. Exactly my point. The other people probably gave you respectable tips too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, that just made it that much easier. That gave you that much more cushion.
Right. I know. I think I left that the next day. I went and bought this when Yeti coolers were still in like top of the line, and I went and picked up a Yeti from Academy, and I was like, I am so balling. Like,
that's another thing I do think about is the discipline with the cash, because it comes so fast. It at first you I'm gonna blow it just because I'm gonna get it back tomorrow, and you have to learn I might need to be responsible with this.
Exactly.
That takes time though. Sometimes you need to celebrate, get yourself something nice.
Yeah, I was on the younger side then. I would save half now. So back to your story. So when you're prepping for these high level fights, what's the importance of strategizing and forming a game plan for your opponent? Or is it different per opponent? How are you going about that?
Yeah, it's absolutely different per opponent. Once again, it goes back to my staple is Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So since that's my staple, you always got to play the card of, are they a wrestler? Are they a boxer? Are they another BJJ guy? You want to learn what kind of style they are. Not even you have to understand every aspect and study every second of them. But you need to at least know, do they like to throw a lot of kicks? Are they the type to come in hot, heavy, throwing a lot of haymakers and bombs? Are they going to shoot and try to wrestle the whole time? Those little things play a strategy in the whole game. So that I always will look at. What is their background? What do they lean to? And from there, we form game plans.
You're watching a lot of film? Or?
So, the truth be told, when my promoters hit me with the fight, hey, that just happened, April 20th, are you going to fight Rodrigo Lopez? They just sent me his Tapology profile, and I look at that, and that shows his wins, losses, even canceled fights that were going to happen that didn't happen, and they usually have links. And if they don't have a link, you can easily go YouTube it or Google it, and then watch their films from there. And what you see live is an honest take of who they are.
Right.
You can be a badass in the gym. You can be a killer in the gym. But when you're out there on the lights, under the pressure, after a weight cut, your mama's watching, your girlfriend's watching, whoever it is.
Yeah, those nerves, man.
It
I can imagine.
changes how you perform.
Right.
So it's good to see what that type of person is when they perform. But after I watch a couple videos, I'll talk with my coaches. They know me the best. And we'll decide whether it's a good matchup or not. We always say yes. But you don't have to. You can always pass on somebody.
Right.
And after that, I don't watch the guy. I've learned through my BJJ competing days that the more I obsess over a person, and I think a lot of humans do this, the more you obsess over a person, we make them out to be monsters or beasts instead of realizing that they're a human. So we hype them up in our head way bigger of a problem than they really are. So that's what I did was, I remember once I used to like hear high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys were going to compete against me in this tournament. So I would watch and study their highlights and look at their Instagrams and obsess over them, and then almost be starstruck when they're in front of me because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's time.
Right.
And freeze up instead of, I did better when I didn't know who the guy was and I competed against him, won, lost, or whatever, but I did way better. And then my coach is telling me, hey, you know who that guy is? That guy just went to Pan Am's in Brazil and just placed third. He just got gold. Well, tell me the highlights. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's when I realized I do better when I look at him as just a human and focus on I'm a beast. And then I go into my camps focusing on what I'm going to do, making sure I'm the sharpest I can be, and let my coaches do the obsessing over the details of their habits that they do. And they'll feed me, watch for this. And then I know to go and drill for a person that likes to throw a front teep, or a guy that throws spinning back fists a lot, or any of that weird, tricky stuff. That's when I'll go implement it into my camp and strategize that little techniques instead of me watching and obsessing every move and then thinking that they're going to beat me up like they beat these other guys up.
Right.
But that's not you.
Right.
That's not me that they're beating up on. So that's a huge thing that goes with the strategizing part is I look at them a little bit beforehand.
Nice little glance. Yeah.
Nice little glance. All right, how much are we paying? Yeah, let's
Sold,
do it.
yeah. Let's go. So how do your camps differ from your regular training throughout the week?
Way more cardio. You're doing way more cardio. And I say there's two different types of cardios. You have your sprint cardio where you're explosive, but your sprint's only for 10, 15, 20 seconds. You need that high spike of heart rate to then calming your breath back down, your heart rate back down. You need those sprints maybe twice, 3 times out of your week. And you also need the long endurance, like marathon pace, to where you're just stay moving. And those are two different kind of cardios. So you have to have both of those down, that you're making sure you're putting time in, because the fight could be a sprint. You're going to blitz somebody, land a combo, land a takedown, and then if you land that takedown, you're squeezing, holding each other. And you have to be conditioned for that long, steady pace, too, because then the fight might go 5 rounds.
Right.
It might be a long night, so you need to have that endurance on both ends, not just the sprint factor, not just slow cardio. You put into both times on that. And then 2, you have to make sure you're getting more rounds in. If it's a 3-round fight, 5 minutes, 3 rounds, I believe you should at least be doing 5, 6 rounds in your training camp. So that way your body's muscle memory is ready. Yeah. Because the scariest feeling in a fight is your gas tank leaving you. I promise you. If you can't pick up your arms, or you can't punch anybody or protect yourself,
serious danger.
that's a scary feeling. Yeah. That's a scary feeling that most people don't get to feel. You could play football, you can play baseball, you can play all these other sports in the world, but you never really stuck with it's just me, and I can't pick up my arms anymore. At least you have a teammate get subbed in, or you can pass the ball off and let your teammates take up for a second while you recover.
Right, it's 1v1.
It's 1v1, and that person's looking for that moment of, oh, they're tired.
Right.
Oh, I can see in their eyes they don't want to push forward anymore. They're not picking their hands up anymore. they're punching slow. Opponent's looking for that. So I believe cardio is the major factor in doing that. I recently played with beetroot. Beetroots, I was getting beetroots. There's
like beetroot capsules.
No, not capsules. Me personally, I always believe in the source.
Okay, yeah.
And I was getting the actual beetroot itself, the big red, had the leaf on it, and I would just cut the sides of it off, chop it up, throw it in a smoothie, throw it in a blender, make a smoothie out of it. You know, I was throwing like watermelons and oranges and stuff in there like that, and making a smoothie with it. But beets are supposed to help with like the red blood cells and like your cardiovascular self of like making you feel refreshed and your cardio a little bit longer. So that's something I've been playing with on the natural side, because I believe in taking advantage of all the routes. I take creatine too, maybe for one more extra rep. It's, you know, like there's so many different little things that you can do out there that we have research on because of Google and all this instant technology to find what can naturally enhance you, you know? And I believe like we should be taking that if you're invested once it goes back to studying your craft, like how do I get an edge?
Right.
And so that's something
even
I've been playing with.
Even a 2%, you know?
That's something I've been playing with. Even a 2% matters.
Right.
And who's to say it helped or didn't help? I didn't have to go the full fight. Maybe the camp worked, but it helped with my mental that I'm doing everything I can to be that peak performance,
right?
That peak performer, you know, going out there and doing the best I can.
Right. So how is your situation over with Team Alpha Male? Like you guys train pretty hard, obviously. Is there anybody that you're specifically training with that you could think of off the top of your head that's like, he helped me for sure? Is it just like a group effort?
Man, it takes a village.
Sure.
You know, that's something I do like about MMA is as much as it is an individual sport, one person gets all the glory or all the hardship. It took a team to get you there, to train with you, push you, and give you different looks. You need a partner to hold pads, throw punches with you, take you down, give you all these looks. So it takes definitely a team.
So it's a pretty good community over there.
Yes, and that's why it's a standard to be there Monday through Friday, because you need to be with different bodies. You need to be pushing yourself against different athletes. There's a difference when you're competing by yourself and you're staring in the mirror and you're trying to hit a PR, and then when you have someone right next to you working just as hard as you, trying to go for that same goal. Are you going to go as hard as you possibly can?
Yeah, pushes you.
You're going to push you that little bit harder.
That 2%, baby.
Because that 2%. Are you going to let them beat you? And that little competitive edge will do a little something to you. And so I believe it takes the team. It takes a team, man. I can name the whole roster in there.
Right, sure.
But they all played a part in that.
Right. So, and the coaching staff over there is pretty remarkable.
Dude, it's high levels, man. We have people, not just the coaching, we have Olympians in there. We have people all across the country, world champions in Muay Thai, world champions in kickboxing in Russia, Chinese people coming in, Japanese people. We have people from Russia and Azerbaijan, Brazil, constantly on our mats. Dude, I'll have partners not even speak English to them the whole time. For an hour and a half, me and them were partners. And the only language we speak is fighting.
Right.
Like we
like
just know
universal language.
Yeah, it's a universal language. That's like, it's pretty crazy. And neither once did we have to trade a single word we understood in our home language, but had a whole hour and a half with this person. It is pretty crazy.
So, we touched on like diet and nutrition. You were talking about the adding beetroots and kind of testing out different supplements. You could, me, if I don't eat healthy, I could feel it. So, the diet and nutrition is definitely a big part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just like putting certain types of gas in cars, especially when you're doing like high-end sports cars and stuff like that. You're doing high-end fuel for that. You're not giving the cheap garbage,
Right.
And expecting your Ferrari and your NASCARs to go out there and do high level peak performance.
Right.
You have to give it certain special, more expensive fuel.
Yeah.
But it's cleaner, and that's what it always comes down to is like how clean is it, and that's something I think is another thing, not just with what I'm in. It's something I'm passionate about for my lifestyle, even when I'm not a fighter. Here in America, I don't know if it's understood what a clean diet is.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of things that are advertised, but usually if it's advertised heavily, it's not the healthiest for you.
Right.
You know, so it's learning truly how to be the healthiest of yourself. And you have to find out through trial and error what works best for you. You know, what what might work best for me isn't the same for this other guy that works really well. Dude, I can eat eggs like every day. I can eat eggs. If you ask me what do I eat, dude, somewhere in my day I'm eating eggs. Okay, but I couldn't recommend that.
How do you eat your eggs? You like put it in a tortilla?
Dude, I'm a chef. Like
Yeah?
I became where I can go from hard boiling it to a sunny side up to over medium scrambled. Dude, I make omelets. I'll chop it up, scramble it. Man, there's so many ways that I can do my eggs. Eggs and steak for dinner, you know, like there's so many different fashions. You can roll it up, you can do whatever with it. That's what I love about eggs.
Yeah.
I lived with a Canadian guy that now is a UFC fighter. I lived with him before he was a UFC fighter. His name's Mike Malott. He's a killer in the UFC. You can look him up. Pure stud. That man would eat salmon at least once a day. And he was jacked and shredded year round.
Wow.
And so, but I don't like fish that much. I'm not a seafood guy. Some people that works super well for them. So it's like, learn, for one, what's clean.
Right.
You need to know like what you're putting into your body, okay? Because you can either filter it before it gets into your mouth, or you can just go ahead and eat it and let your body filter it. But there's negatives of just letting your body filter it. Over the long term, after the long term, like I think that's why cancer's up, obesity, high blood pressure, all these things that are now common. It really shouldn't be common.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely the market's flooded with a lot of nasty, bad, unhealthy stuff. And you know, there's speculation. People say that it's on purpose. You know, we're feeding the medical system, and the medical system feeds back. You know, so
don't get me started on conspiracies. I'm a little conspiracist. I mean, let's go ask the Kellogg's people if they're eating Kellogg's cereal every day. You talk about these rich CEOs that are getting millions, hundred millions, of billions a year. You think they're eating Kellogg's cereal every day?
Frosted Flakes.
Yeah. I don't. The Eggo waffles. You think the Eggo people are eating Eggos every day? I don't think so. I think they know. And I think they're trying to do the cheapest route that they can do to make more money in their pocket, more than they're trying to be healers and feed the starving.
Right. Man, speaking of conspiracy theories, I believe that we had a conversation years ago, probably a couple years ago. I was still living in China, Texas at the time. And you were like, they have 5G towers in California that look like trees. And I'm like, what?
True. It is true. And once again, I'm a Texas boy. I know what a tree looks like. I have plenty of trees. And I know what camouflage looks like. I grew up hunting. I know how to camouflage a deer stand. I know about trying to be discreet. And it was super weird to me that I was just driving down a highway and they had 5G towers, but they were putting fake metal branches on them, and they were painted. Yeah. It was different. Like if they would have said silver, I'd be like, oh, they needed extra extension for their antennas. I could have made up some science BS for you and been like, gave them leeway. They painted them. Yeah. They painted green leaves at the top and a brown trunk. I'm like, this looks like some camouflage. Why are we sneaking this? Why are you trying to subliminally make me pass by this and not even think like what's going on?
Yeah.
That's suspicious.
They're like, it looks better, and everybody's like,
Why do we do it? Like, why aren't you painting everything, all the light poles and electricity poles? Yeah. Why is it just these antennas that are coming up? I don't know. Once again, it could be a coincidence. So I don't know if I believe in coincidences.
Yeah, some of the rabbit holes that you could run down with conspiracies will make you think, you know. there's definitely a lot of questions out there. I know one of my good friends, he's like all into chemtrails.
Re-update me on this because
So-
I heard about them for sure. Just re-update me on them.
Yeah, so I'm not too educated on the full conspiracy, but I know that there are some speculations out there. So yeah. So
Okay,
next time,
that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
That's
next time
interesting to hear that.
you're looking up in the sky, if you see like little streaks in the air, then that's
yeah.
it. But you know, like I said, sometimes you'll look up and the sky's clear, but you'll see planes up there. So
I'm uneducated. I always thought the assumption I was making in my head
it was like a jet or something.
yes,
Yeah.
whereas planes don't do that, jets do that.
Right. Yeah.
So I always thought that was just high speed.
That's kinda what I meant,
High
like-
speed horsepower out there, and that's
Right.
what high speed horsepower looks
Right.
like. You know, something that blew my mind that I heard that our airplanes have pretty much been maxed out on speed for several years now. For some time frame, we haven't gotten really faster on our commercial planes. And the reason for that was they could make our commercial planes go faster. You're like, man, why does it take, 2 hours to get from California to Texas? You know, if we're now in 2024 and we have cyber trucks that are bulletproof and
Right.
all this stuff. Well, the science behind that was because they're so big and they're coming close down to the city when they're landing or taking off, if they're going faster and breaking like the speeds that they can break, it would be shattering windows of skyscrapers and cars down below. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
They're going so fast up there, even though it may seem like a distance away, they're far
Right.
away. All of that force of them cutting through the sky and the wind would use airwaves.
Right, a heavy impact. on all of the infrastructure and big
down
cities.
below.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Gosh.
that broke, like, that kind of blew my mind when I heard about that.
Dude, honestly, yeah, I feel like we're definitely pushing lines. You know, we're pushing limits, and that's another thing that we have like SpaceX and NASA and all these companies, government and non-government, that are attempting to I guess make life like multiplanetary. And
What you think about that, by the way? Sorry to interrupt.
no,
but, like,
sure,
you
yeah,
think,
no,
let's say Elon Musk, smartest guy we know, right? He says, "Hey, secure way to get to Mars. We've secured it, and you could have a free travel up to Mars. Would you hop on that? I'm curious.
have they had previous?
You don't want to be the first guinea pig?
I don't want to be the first.
Okay,
one.
what about you're like the fifth one?
The fifth one,
Still early.
Man, I don't know. I would have to see proof that they actually made it. Like
Just a
like,
tweet? Would it take just a tweet on the
No,
X? I think there's a
no,
little
no.
X. To,
No, I would have to I don't know. People would have to be like streaming live, like, yo, I'm on Mars. Like,
But would you expect them to have like I'm growing a tree out here? Look at my backyard. Look at my plants. Or what would you expect them to be hopping around, like floating around in an
I
astronaut
feel
suit?
like
Would that
they
be
would
comfortable?
be in like a man-made like construct.
Like a bubble?
Maybe like a bubble, maybe, or like a international space station type.
So just a city. You're talking about just a human city in space.
Yes, but like within walls. Like there's like a.
So you need walls to feel safe.
Well, on Mars maybe, on Mars maybe. I don't know. What about you? Would you get on it? Fifth trip to Mars.
So
Trent Ebarb, we have a ticket for you and your lady to travel to Mars. Are you taking it? No cost.
I think I have the same question you have. Am I the first person to go out there? I don't want to be the first. My thing is, I feel like I've traveled so little in my life. There's so much of this planet that I want to see.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, there's so many wonders of the world that are beautiful that I would love to see. I barely got outside of Texas and California. I've seen Yosemite National Park out there in California.
I bet it's beautiful.
Blew my mind. I've seen so many waterfalls in that one place. It made me feel like I was in like Narnia or Lord of the Rings or something. Like something just
Walking through the wardrobe.
fantastical. Yeah, exactly. So, do I need Mars? I would ask maybe for a refund for like a ticket to Rome or something. Like,
Can I swap
somewhere?
this out? Yeah.
Yeah. Can I substitute? Is there a way I could sub this for something different, Elon?
Man, that's what I would like to do. I would like to just chill on a yacht, like outside of Italy, like on the coast of Italy, you know?
Yeah.
That would be beautiful.
Greece even. Let's see some pretty
Coast
waters.
of Greece.
Seems pretty waters. I've never been on a yacht. I'd love to chill on a yacht.
Yeah.
Maybe sip on some coffee, eat whatever. What I don't even know what Greece has.
Some coffee zen.
Yeah, some coffee and some Zens. Shout out to Zens. You maybe, what did you say? You called for it, and I had to just pull this bad boy out.
See,
now.
I'm on the lower side of that. I got the 3.
Yeah, you also don't get in the cage. You know, you're not willing to live life on the edge.
Oh, come on now. Hey, I'll get in there, but you're gonna see my cardio go down real fast.
Yeah. And so many people, I don't feel like people look at me and they're like, "Oh, he's intimidating. That guy's got to be a fighter."
Dude,
I feel like I very much look like a mama's boy that's been taken care of or something. Like just not the edgy guy. And so many people I'll like talk about, like, man, if I got in a street fight or if I did this, I'm like, do you not realize how important cardio is? How fast you get that adrenaline dump? Yeah, I get it. You feel like you can lift up a car when that adrenaline hits. But what if you don't? But what if it extends longer than that 30-second burst that you have and you have to now keep going?
Yeah.
I don't think enough
I
people
feel
are
like
ready for that.
people that base the idea that they can do something without actually doing it beforehand, they're just in for a rude awakening. I remember we were at one of the bars down the street when you were in town for the Astros championship.
Yeah, we won the World Series.
Yeah, the World Series.
I lost my mind. Yeah, it was a
Dude,
great time.
that was an insane time. But I remember one guy like cut in front of you and Mason, and he like was in line. He was like got in front of y'all, and y'all were like, "What the heck?" You know, I was like, "This dude is like making a big mistake."
But a big mistake. But then I feel like I had just such the confidence, not just the confidence, but the understanding of how catastrophic a fight is. Like, man, I could puff my chest up and get in someone's face at the bar and be like, "Bro, you're not gonna cut in front of me." And then what? We get in a fight. I beat him up, but I break my hand.
You're right.
I get in a fight. I win, but he cuts me because we fell into the concrete. Like, there's so many consequences. What if we fight? I punch him. He drops and hits the concrete and dies because he hit his head. Like, there's so many catastrophic things that moment, that temporary anger, and now I have a permanent situation.
Right.
It's not worth it. Fighting is not really truly fighting is not cool in a civilized scenario where we're out. Like, people have families to go home to. It's not cool. Like, fight MMA with the refs and judges there to make sure we're safe. That makes sense to me because it's like everyone gets to go home. You get in a street fight, and it's not only could it be catastrophic because y'all hurt each other. What if you stab each other? What if your homies shoot somebody? And now that life is taken. Someone goes to jail. Like, there's so many things that's not cool with fighting in public. That what if y'all are fighting
a controlled environment,
and then you hurt a bystander that didn't deserve it? Like, there's so many negative things that it's just like, it's not cool to fight people in public. So yeah, like we do. We let them slide, and what do we do? We continue to get our beers.
Yep.
Let that 3 minutes go by, and then we were back outside having a good old time.
Right. Well, in general, you're a pretty humble person. You know, like you walk around chilling, like non-threatening to anybody, but in reality, you would just smash, like Hulk smash on these people.
I appreciate that. I still wonder at times how good I am. I still think, like, because I train with such high level people that I constantly get beat up.
Right.
So it's like, man, it's still shocking to be here sitting in front of you 3-0 as a pro, 4-0 as an amateur, like undefeated in my whole career, knowing that I've been beat 100 times in the gym, 1,000 times in my life, you know, like a million maybe. Dude, you stop giving track. You start counting after so many, you being in the game so long, you stop counting how many times you have lost in training and lost in the sport.
Right.
So it's
That just goes back to the passion, though, you know?
yeah. I think the big word is delayed gratitude. That's something, you know, we're in an era now where you get on your phone and have instant Google answers. You get on your phone and you instantly can order food or get your music instantly playing on your phone. You know, you'd have to go to the store, get a record player to have one song on it. A CD only had 12 songs on it. You know, there was a long time before we got to where we are now, where it's instant. You can instantly get an Uber, okay? You can instantly get a car, food brought to your house. You can instantly have groceries brought to you. Instantly have a dinner made because you microwaved it. Everything is instant. You want to go sit down for TV? One button. Netflix is almost on every single remote now. You get a Roku remote. Netflix is one button away. You don't have to scroll for Netflix. Dude, everything is so instant that I think times are becoming to where people want that instant gratification.
Right.
Those aren't real, man.
Right.
It's delayed gratification is where you're seeing these people that you marvel or you look at on Instagram and you're like, I want that life.
Right.
Well, if they truly have that life, it took delayed gratification to get there.
100%.
And I don't think that's something that's spoken about enough to people of like, no, you have to put in time where there was nothing to show for it.
Right.
I put in hours, and no one saw those hours. I saw me fight maybe 7 minutes Saturday night, and they think, oh, he's so cool, or whatever they think.
Right.
But you don't know what it took for me to get to that 7 minutes. So, yeah, that's something I think about a lot is like, man, delayed gratification is important.
Right.
Nowadays, like, you got to really actually grind for things and, you know, work on something that's not showing at first.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody wants things at a click of a button, you know? And I mean, I remember years ago, we had to go to Blockbuster and GameStop and whatever, you know, just to get a movie or a game. And like you said, now it's just like, boom, downloaded, you know?
Yes.
Xbox,
exactly.
PlayStation, Roku TV, you know, everything is literally right there where you need it. So I completely agree with that people don't actually appreciate or give appreciation to the people that have what they want at that moment because they don't know what they put in, you know? So it's powerful.
Another thing I go to say is back to food is so many people nowadays are wasteful in their food. You know, if you instantly go order a pizza or instantly go buy a fast food burger, you're more likely to waste that instead if you would have grown those vegetables, went hunted for that food, you had to wait for that deer to show up to get the perfect shot, and you had to skin that deer, drag that, you know, do the whole process, cook it. You know how long it takes for an actual gas stove and all these things to heat up? It was a whole process to feed yourself back in the day. You know how much less likely it was that you're going to waste something that you spent weeks, months, hours into making?
Yeah,
you're less likely to waste that stuff. You're more appreciative of it. Now we're in such a consume
right.
environment that it's easy.
I think that's just
to waste.
You know, that goes back to you know, if people get something for free, you know, if people are given all these things, you know, given $1 million, people that win the lottery, they don't appreciate it. They go out and blow the money, you know.
Average is 3.5 years for a lottery person to blow their winnings.
Bro.
We're talking about millions.
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
And so many people talk.
They get that money and they get that urge like, oh.
Let me ask you that.
I saw a new Mustang that I may want.
Let me ask you that, Jared. Let's say you in particularly, all right?
Oh.
You go and you get the Powerball. I'm going to give you roughly 10 million, all right? Maybe that's not the Powerball, but we'll say 10 million. That'll
10 million out the
life.
door.
Yeah, 10 million after taxes.
Okay.
Government got their piece. State got their piece. You now have 10 million sitting in the bank. What's something you would spend your money on? What would you go do? What's something that entices you?
No, that's actually a great question. I would probably instantly put half in savings. We're saving half of it, so I'm putting $5 million in savings.
Savings that you can touch, or savings that take some like
savings that I'm not
under your mattress.
That's only for emergencies. I would probably throw it in some type of fund that's producing, you know, a small amount of interest on the cash.
Like a Roth IRA or 401k, like your retirement.
Yeah, it would be saved. Five million would be saved.
Okay.
Now,
5 million to play with.
I think, I got 5 million to play with. I'd probably put half of that in the stock market.
So 2.5.
2.5.
Do you have anything in particular you would put people on game on?
Well, I would probably get Berkshire Hathaway A stocks. They're running about, I think, a little over $250,000.
Okay.
They just have amazing growth over the years, consistent growth.
Okay.
Small percentage, consistent growth, getting that 2%.
Okay.
You know, when I look at stocks, I look at, you know, how well is this business going to be doing in 30 years? Is there room for this business to grow? Apple would be a great one. You know,
Okay.
they just released those
Oculus or whatever.
yeah,
it is?
yeah, and that's
VR, bro.
That's
VR
amazing.
is a wild.
Yeah.
VR and AI. Whoa, that's the right one. AI is getting intimidating. How fast they're growing.
Honestly,
have you
yeah.
ever played with a VR?
I have. I played with like the older models,
Yeah?
and that was still like insane. I think I played on my niece's or nephew's VR headset, and I was in this roller coaster, and these goblins were shooting at me, and I'm like, oh my god! Like it was legit. Like,
Could you shoot back or?
I could shoot back. I had like a single shot pistol that I was just like
That sounds
popping
like a
these
fun
goblins.
game.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun game. I similarly had an experience. So, you know, I feel like I have an old soul dad where, you know, we didn't have to be with the most up to date things. So we slowly progressed, and while we were very much still playing our PlayStations, and being on the console because we liked being in each other's presence of next to each other.
Right.
While everyone else was still playing online. Everyone else was playing with people all across the world. And so when VR came out, you know, I was super late to the party. I didn't ever get one. I was still happy with my console. And I finally played on my lady's VR headset, and she had me play Pistol Whip. Let me give a shout out to Pistol Whip. That game.
Shout out Pistol Whip.
That game was so fun.
What is Pistol Whip?
So basically, you put on that headset, dude, and what's crazy about it is it takes your peripherals away.
Right.
You know, at least when you're playing the console, you have your peripheral, like you get zoned in.
Right, you see the game, and you have like, you know, everything
Yes.
else.
But with the Oculus or the VR, man, everywhere I turned was the world.
Yeah.
That was the world I was in. And so the point of the game was you moved forward, okay? And I always set it up where I had dual wield. And if I'm not dual wielding, bro, like you're missing out. If I was a cowboy, I would have been a dual wield cowboy. Let me just go put it out there. The dual wield's the key. And it was almost like arcade, where you shot until your clips went out and you point them down, and it reloaded it. Okay? So then it was just like blocks or silhouettes would come out either at the floor or at the tops, and you can like slip and weave the bullets because it would look like the Matrix. It'd be like boom, boom, boom. So you know when it got close, and you would slip it, and then you would shoot them. And dude, sometimes blocks would pop up, so you'd have to sidestep out of the way. And dude, I always used to laugh at the old people. I always thought it was old people that put it on the headsets and they would fall over.
Yes.
And they'd be like, oh. I used to laugh at those people. Dude, I put it on that headset and these.
You said, oh,
dude,
shit.
I started like jumping out of the way like it was real life. I'm like jumping into the wall.
Yeah.
I'm like almost hitting like the side of cabinets and stuff. I'm like, I'm fully captivated. And I was aware that this was fake. I was aware I was in a room seconds ago, but it instantly will just captivate you and you forget about the outside world.
Yeah, Meta's doing big things also. You know, they you know, like the whole Facebook group, Facebook Meta. I bought the Ray-Ban Metas, the Meta infused Ray-Bans. I had them for a week and I sent them back. I didn't like them.
Okay, I was gonna ask that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I sent them back.
What didn't you like about it?
So when I was looking at like the promotional video, it was like, oh, you know, you could put these glasses on and ask, you know, you could look at like a broken sink and be like, hey, Meta, fix my sink. And it would be like, get a 10 millimeter, blah, blah, blah. Well, I got them, and you could video on it, and it was pretty much just video abilities. Like I would wear them when I go mountain biking, and I would do the whole like trail, and I could have video like first person of me.
Okay, so it was like a easy GoPro.
It was an easy GoPro. It was like a GoPro that was like infused with Siri, because you could say, "Hey Meta, play whatever," or "Hey Meta, see, look,
Wow, listen.
Siri is like,
You talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Did you just call me Meta?
Use my code name.
Yeah.
Siri's her government name.
Right,
Use my code name, my nickname out here.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it just wasn't worth it. I think they were around like $300, which, I mean,
Didn't improve your life any.
it didn't do anything. I was like, I have my phone. When I have my phone in my pocket, I could easily just pull my phone out and ask Siri whatever, or and it has a screen and things like that. But yeah, no, I didn't need it. It wasn't worth it, and that's just my opinion. I'm sure they work great for some people, but they didn't really work too great for me. So, dude, another thing, going back to the VR and the ability to hop in a ring, I'm over here like, oh yeah, I'd do it. But in reality, dude, my nieces, they have on their VR headset, they have this fighting game, and
Like
it's like boxing.
Okay.
And you get in there, and you put the headset on, and like you said, it's like only this. Like you're focused heavily on what's in front of you. They put you in this ring against this monster. And dude, even if it's VR, I got in this ring and I'm like, oh my God. Like there's no way I'm fighting this dude. Like, let me out. Like I'm over here like turning around, like trying to hop the ring. Yeah.
That's why there's weight classes though.
Oh,
it makes
dude.
it way more fair.
Oh,
it makes it
man.
way more fair.
Yeah, and the bad thing is this guy's like, I mean, he has to be like 6'5" that they have you going up against, and it's very intimidating.
I don't know what they're trying to portray. They're like Goliath. Here you
Right?
go.
Yeah, exactly.
Take this guy out. Do I have a stick? What are you gonna give me?
I know. So how do you prepare for a fight like that? Like, I mean, not even just like that, but how do you prepare like mentally for your fight? Like when you're going up against the opponent. I know you said that you look at them briefly and try not to really even give them much thought. Just do your thing. But even just like getting up in front of your friends and family and the crowd, and having this combat in front of everybody, like how is your mental process? Like how do you get in there with with a clear mind?
Simple terms, I feel like it's almost the same pressure if you told me, Trent, you have to go and deliver the speech in front of 1,000 people.
Right.
You have to do some public speaking. I think public speaking is like, the number one biggest fear of like most people.
Yeah.
You ask normal people on the street, like, what's your biggest fear? And a lot of them are going to say public speaking.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, now those are big differences: public speaking and fighting in front of people. But it's the same concept as we talked earlier: is preparation. I truly believe in what's called muscle memory. Okay?
Repetition and redundancy.
Yes,
Yeah.
over and over again. And it may just seem repetitive and just like dumb. Oh, I've done this, 100 times. We'll do it 1,000.
Right.
Okay, because when you get in a fight, man, it's so fast.
Right.
It's super instant. And the moment that you could have landed the knockout strike is over with because you thought, should I throw a knee or should I throw a kick?
Right. You thought.
Yeah. And maybe you didn't think, I need to put my hand up. You're throwing, hey, but should I put my hand up? And now you got smacked and now you're on the ground.
Right.
Okay? Muscle memory is huge. And I think that's what takes over. Though, and to give credit, fighting, 90% mental. 90% mental. You've either lost the fight before you got in that cage or you won it. And not to say you actually got the victory, but to get to that moment of cutting weight, you had to fight cutting weight. Anyone that's cutted weight before, especially when you get to water weight, you can do like 10 pounds nutrition, 20 pounds nutrition. You start getting to your 30-pound cuts and stuff, and you're touching water weight. You haven't had salt in a week. You haven't had carbs in a week. Your body will start playing games on you. Your mental will start playing games on you. And you have to remind yourself, no, I'm strong. I do this. Where I go to give my strength to is my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. I pray so much during my fight camps. My spiritualness goes way up because it's really not me being strong out there. I put all my fears in him, and I just walk the walk. And because I trained and I did get up and I prepared weeks, months in advance, I'm showing up Monday through Friday, trying to get in there on Saturdays and make sure that I put in the work that the muscle memory would take over in that moment. But that lead up is the longest part. I know I'm going to fight for 4 weeks out.
Right.
So if you dwell on the moment you're not even there yet, it's exhausting. And so I always say my prayers of talking to my Lord. And then two, I remind myself, where are you? Where are you right now? Where's your feet? And that's something that helps me check myself into the moment.
Right.
Oh, I'm not in the fight right now. I still have 3 weeks. Oh, I'm not in the fight right now. I'm still in the back getting warmed up. I may be in the back for hours in my day knowing that I'm about to fight, but I keep reminding myself, you're not fighting right now. Don't wear yourself out to where you're mentally getting exhausted because you're trying to run through your next game plan.
Right.
By the time you get to that backstage and you're in the locker room and everyone's kicking pads and the testosterone's up, sweating back there, smelling like armpits, what you've already put in is all you're going to put in. So now you have to just check and get yourself mentally there to that fight. Yeah. And that's
which is the biggest skill itself.
That's a skill itself, but it goes back to your public speaking of you're going to go and you prepared your speech, you wrote it out, you went over it multiple times. You did it so many times, you've memorized it. You don't have to look at the paper. Now you just have to get out there and step and do it.
Yeah.
There's so many things that cause nerves out there, and I think that's good for any human is to do things that make you feel uncomfortable. Some people, something uncomfortable is just going out there and surfing. Right. But other people do that all day. So it's all about just.
Have you been surfing in California?
I've been surfing in California. That was a humbling experience.
Really, dude, I would love to try it. I've rode my longboard before, but I can imagine the waves are a lot different.
It is, for the fact that I went in cocky. Let me just tell you that. I have
true Trent style.
Yeah, I have some friends that are just born and raised in California, and they're more towards the beach style. Okay, Sacramento, where I home and reside, that's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from the beach. But it's not hard for people that have lived in California their whole life, on the coast, surfed their whole life, to be in Sacramento for Sac State, which is a big college.
Right.
And they'll come train at the gym. So I met up some cool guys that invited me out to San Francisco, and they're like, bro, I got the board, I got the wetsuit. That's another thing. California, it doesn't matter if it's 105 outside, baking you. That water's gonna be cold. It's the Pacific Ocean, bro. That water is cold. Okay, so you go surfing, that wetsuit needed. Okay?
Right.
So I went out there cocky. My friends are all like, "Yeah, I got the board, I got the wetsuit. Just come surf with us. Pull up on us." I was like, "Dude, I'm probably pretty good at this.
Let me show you how it's done."
I'm a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I've been training with Team Alpha Male. I'm in shape. I know I'll have the cardio for whatever. Dude, nature starts pushing back. Dude, the hardest part was the whitewater part, which is from the coast to where the waves are slapping in. So you have to get past to where before the waves break. Dude, I was just getting slapped and pummeled and trying to roll under just to get to the point of where I can pick up a wave. That was a humbling experience. And then it's a timing game. I had my friends out there who has years of experience, like, turn around, start paddling hard, and then you have to push up and you have to feel that wave slap under your board, because you can go and you try to push up before and you're just bored, you go straight under because you went too soon. Or you'll be paddling as hard as you can, you didn't pop up soon enough, now that wave has rolled past you and there's nothing for you to jump on. So it's like not only an athletic event to get yourself past all the waves, then you have to know the timing and sense it coming before it comes, and then be in the moment of, right now the wave is firm enough for me to push off my board.
Right.
And so it was a very humbling experience. I went all day. We went early that morning. Dude, midway through the day before it started even breaking ice, we were out there for hours. Hadn't had anything to eat. And I was like, dude, I have not caught a single wave, and I'm exhausted. I was sore the next day, my whole body, because you're using your whole body to paddle.
Right.
And then you get slapped off, or you fall off a wave, and you got to pick yourself back up, get back on that board and try again. And so it was.
Are there any currents out there? Pretty tough currents, or what?
I'm not even experienced enough to say. I know that day I didn't run anything weird.
Right.
Another big factor is like you talk about surfing, and if you're not experienced, you talk about sharks. Oh, what about the sharks out there?
I'd be worried about like the coral reefs or whatever, like
all the
getting
rocks
busted up against some rocks. Yeah.
It's usually deep by that area. If you're by the coral and stuff like that, usually you've gone closer into shore area. But once again, where I was going in San Francisco, I didn't have any of those problems. There's actually, once you got past all those waves, it's super loud. You're just hearing waves splash. You're diving under the water, pedaling as hard as you can, trying to get past these waves, scooping over them. But then you finally get out there, and it was like, dude, it's almost, you probably should always go when there's other surfers out.
Right.
If you're the only surfer out there, maybe that should be a sign.
Right.
And so you get finally out there, and you just see 4, 5, 10 other people on their board just sitting there, and you're just looking at an open ocean, and you're seeing the sun in the sky. It's super actually majestic to experience what was chaotic just seconds ago be peaceful.
Right.
And it's a whole other experience to be out there. I actually felt confident because I wasn't cold, for one. I felt warm. And then I was on my board, so it wasn't like I was fighting the whole time. I just got to sit on my board. And if I was trying to catch my breath still, I would let a wave pass and wait until I was good on my cardio, and then I would try for another wave. It was super, super cool. It felt like I was almost dancing with nature, because you don't get to control those waves. There's nothing you can do to control those waves.
I'm glad you're telling me this now, because I'm pretty sure that you invited me to come surfing with you when I come up. They're going to be calling nature reserve. They're going to be like, a whale done washed up on the beach. Like, I'm going to be just laid out.
I think you'll do better than you think. We would definitely do as much as we can to prepare you ahead of time. But two, it takes experience.
Right, yeah.
It takes experience.
Yeah, get out there and do it. Yeah.
And something someone told me once, it was Uriah Faber actually. He says anything in life is dangerous. Fighting is dangerous. Yeah, riding a horse is dangerous. But you practice enough times, and you start to get lucky, or it becomes natural. That's with anything. Surfing, snowboarding, riding a scooter, riding your bike was dangerous at first.
Right.
You learn how to do that skill with practice, and then it becomes not as dangerous, and you start noticing it becomes more natural.
Right. Well, yeah, you've done some pretty impressive stuff, and that just shows that these things are possible if you put your mind to it, no matter what it may be.
Humans have climbed to Mount Everest. Humans have gone through the deserts. Where our ancestors are beasts, okay, and we still have that in us. We're just in a comfortable world now, but we can There's David Goggins out there that will just say F it and just go and do it. There's people out there that are still conquering the world, and that's something every human can do. It's just about the mentality to get through it, and delayed gratitude of knowing that it might be hard now, but it'll be worth it when I say I got through this hard event or whatever, this hike that was extremely hard, but it was worth it once you get to the top and you see that view.
Oh, yeah.
I went skydiving once. I went skydiving for my 18th birthday, and that was an experience in itself, because you're going up in a perfectly fine plane, and you got to jump out of that.
Ooh.
And man, it went from like, dude, it was crazy. I jumped out of the plane and we kind of, because your first few you have to do with the person.
Right.
We jumped out, and the way we jumped, we turned belly up, and I seen the plane flying, but it was in slow-mo. And it was like, choo, 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 choo. And all the way until we went belly down, and then my arms just slung up, and it was just all wind. All you could hear is wind. And they tell you to yell, so that way you're not holding your breath and you pass out. So they want you to yell so you get the air out. Dude, I can help it. Yeah, I was screaming for my life, dude. Your
Yeah, you
arms
don't
are
gotta tell me to yell.
Dude, yeah, your arms are up. Like, you don't even, like, that scene where you see all of the arms up, dude, that's not because they think that looks cool. That's because there's so much force falling down. Your arms sling up.
Oh, wow.
And you have to constantly check what altitude you're at to know when to pull your parachute. And he goes from the craziest tunnel of wind, just shooting past, and you pull that chute, and you just glide, and it's silent.
Oh, wow.
And you see a part of the world you've never, like, I'm sure you can travel in a plane, but when you're just out there floating, hovering around the world, and you can just see all across as far as your eye will take you, it went from the most chaotic experience to the most peaceful experience, too. And, like, it was beautiful. It was something I would recommend it for anybody to do. Right. The day I went, a lady celebrating her 97th birthday was skydiving.
What?
97, and she jumped out of a parachute. She jumped out of a plane.
Oh my God!
Wow.
I've never been skydiving, but it's on the list.
I think it's worth it. And they say it's for adrenaline junkies, but I think anyone that wants to just appreciate life, it'll make you feel alive again. It was just like, whoa, that just happened.
Right.
Like, I just did that. Like,
I saw a guy, I think he was part of the Red Bull team, and he goes up and, you could almost see the earth. You could almost see the whole earth. Like, he was doing like a world record, and he jumps and you just see the earth and then just him just flying like in air. They got guys on the mics, like people down on base, like watching the videos. And I think it was a dangerous event.
Yeah.
And when he got down to a certain altitude, that's when everybody started celebrating, because they were like, okay, like he made it,
it's safe.
Yeah.
No, man, you're falling at that speed, and you're like, I'm sure he was high enough to almost be floating in like space.
Right.
He's probably.
Have you seen that video?
I think I have.
Dude.
Where he's like, it was almost like a shuttle he was getting out of, and he had like an astronaut suit. I'm sure to keep him from like the heat of breaking into like our hemisphere again.
Right.
I'm sure they were worried about him catching on fire or something crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of weird things. When you get up that high, you never like it's questionable. I mean, you got to have some serious science like down pat behind it, you know, cuz
dude, just jumping off of a high dive into water takes technique. You get to a certain height, you smack water and you don't land right, you are hurting.
Right.
You hit concrete.
I had trouble jumping off like an 8-foot cliff into like a cenote. Like I went to a trip in Mexico, and everybody's jumping off this cliff, and I'm like, I'm sitting down below watching, and I'm like, I'm gonna get up there and do it. Like, that looks awesome. And I get up there and I look down and I'm like, oh shit.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know about this.
The worst feeling is when you jump and you yell and you like have enough time to think like, why haven't I hit the water yet? That's when you know you're high up there. You're like, shit. Like, oh gosh.
And then once you hit that water, you're like, oh my God, what just happened?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So what do you have any like pre-fight pre-fight rituals or like superstitions? I know like some people like wear the same underwear the night before or something. Like, is there anything that you have that you do?
Man, I'm gonna say no, because I put so much faith into my Lord.
Right. Oh, also shout out to you for hooking me up and telling me about the King James Bible, man. I did order it. Man,
that's just, I'm trying to spread the good news. I really don't think that I have all the answers. I believe in what I believe in because of what my faith has filled me with.
Right, and what you've been shown, yeah.
I don't believe I'm a morally right person because I know I make mistakes. Still to this day, I'm not a perfect person, But the reason I have the morals the way I do is because it was told to me from someone that's proven. And man, I go to say it because we have technology at our hand, and we can instantly look something up. Dude, the Bible has been proven so many times over and over again with science. People there's people that give it credit and they don't, but the science is there. The more advanced we've become as human beings, the more advanced our tests have become, the more true the Bible becomes apparent.
Right.
That these were real miracles that happened. So it's almost undoubtedly for me, and I want to spread that good news. So that's nothing to share that with you. I'm glad you even got a feel of that. And you're like, I don't think it was me that hooked you. I think he hooked you. And like, so that's a whole other side story. But that's where I go with what gives me my strength. I don't need a ritual where it's like you said, I'm wearing the same underwear, I'm going to the same restaurant, I'm making sure that I have my lucky shoes on, a lucky necklace.
Right.
None of that. I really feel like he walks with me ahead of me, behind me, and beside me. That no matter what happens, it was meant to happen. That's something like I was talking about earlier, where it was like, man, high school. Let's talk about anyone that was in high school. Everyone can have a plan. Like, I'm gonna get this degree. I'm gonna go to this college. I'm gonna get this degree. And you stress for that. Everyone's asking you, what are you going to be when you grow up? What job do you want to strive for? And 18, no one knows, bro.
Right.
No one knows at 18. You're still a child. You haven't experienced the world. You don't know what you want to be for the rest of your life. But everyone's pressing that. Everyone's like, what are you gonna spend the next 4 years of your life pursuing and stuff like that?
Right.
And so we play that game of putting stressors on ourselves and like all this pressure on ourselves of what am I going to be and what am I going to do? And then how many people have changed their careers that they started with in high school to what they're actually being in life?
Right.
Because that plan didn't matter. What you were going to be is already what you were going to be. Like, it was already going to play out.
It's already set.
You should just be happy and enjoying each moment. And so it's like, bro, you can lose that lucky necklace. You can lose that favorite restaurant you go to. It can get closed down. Like, all these things can be out of your hand. But like what his in is, your Lord and Savior will never leave you. He's there for you. And like that's something that gives me the confidence in the faith. Like that's my ritual.
Right. That's
I make sure I'm in tune with him.
Right.
And then everything else, win or lose. And I go to say that too. Like I do feel blessed that I'm at an undefeated status where I'm at now. But any of that could have changed. Saturday night that could have changed. Moments before that could have changed. But that won't change my faith. I'll still feel blessed. I'll still feel thankful, dude. Even if you go out there and you fight and you lose, yeah, it's embarrassing. That's a hard pill to swallow. And maybe it's achy because you got punched, your legs hurt, whatever it is. You were lucky enough to have your limbs to even walk out there.
Right.
You were lucky enough to be healthy to get to that moment. Like how granted you can take walking with using your limbs. Like, dude, I have all my limbs, all my fingers. I'm not paralyzed. I'm not laid up. You know how people are?
Right.
You know how many sad stories, sad, I find them sad. I don't want anyone to go through that to where they live a life of, handicap.
Right. It's definitely a gift to have full mobility and also the ability to pursue everything that you want to pursue.
Yes.
And that was a lot of my problem growing up. I graduated high school, I was going to college, and I was like, I felt a lot of pressure, and it was like, what are you gonna be? What are you gonna be? And like I'm just an ambitious person in general. I'm like, I'm gonna be a doctor. Doctors are at the top of the hierarchy. I'm gonna be a doctor. I go through my undergraduate. And I killed all my courses. I smashed all my courses.
Right.
But dude, that was honestly one of the most unhappiest times of my life. And I didn't realize it until I kind of ventured out and kind of found my own feet,
Yes.
and my own idea of what life is and how I want to live it. And and I'm still working on that. So it's definitely a gift to have the ability to do what you want to do and make proper decisions or make, individual decisions on your dreams, And so, yeah, man, that's powerful. That's very powerful. So, you're an up and coming popular guy. Like I said, at the end of your fight, man, people were getting autographs and signing people's heads. And then another thing that I did notice was there were a couple younger guys that are coming up and they wanted to talk to you. So just, I guess, to expand the word, what words of wisdom do you have for these younger fighters that are coming up?
I mean, it's all different. It's all different for uniquely that person, because that's something I don't take for granted. Like you said, I feel like I had a big group of people come out and support me. I individually appreciated every single one of those people because, man, y'all cheering for me is an electric energy that helps motivate and push me when I'm in those deep moments in those trenches.
Ebarb, Ebarb.
That's fuel, man. That's energy. And it took all those people to even keep me going and keep me in that moment. That I appreciate every single person that when someone like asks me for what's new as an autograph or a picture or something, I want to ask them, what is your name? And like, how'd you find out about me? How'd you hear about me? And like, they usually almost always tell me that from the jump. My name is so-and-so, and I heard about you from this and that. And so every story is kind of personal. I want to hear that. Like, some people tell me, oh, I'm interested in fighting. Oh, so-and-so is a fan, and they brought me, and now I'm a fan. And like, so like every person has something different that I'd say to them. It's not a generic copy and paste answer.
Sure.
But for the people that are interested in the realm that I'm in, man, I tell them to, for one, find a gym that you feel comfortable in if you're trying to pursue MMA. And if people that aren't trying to pursue MMA, but they're excited about what I do, I tell them this is just what I love. I wouldn't recommend, like if I have kids, I wouldn't recommend fighting. I wouldn't want to see my kid getting punched in the face. But I would recommend go do what you love, because if you're doing what you love, you really don't work a day in your life. And that's what I believe is why I have success in what I'm doing, is because I feel thankful when I go to the gym. And to me, it's clocking in to work. It's a blessing. I'm like, thank you, Lord, that I'm here. Thank you that I'm, this is a beautiful day to get me to the gym, even if I didn't feel like it at the house.
Right.
I'm so thankful that I get to be there, because that's what I really like to be doing. Even, after the workout or something, like that's really when I get hit with the most of like, wow, I just did that and I didn't even want to wake up this morning.
Right.
And so like, that's what I want for everybody in the world. We don't just need fighters. We need people that are construction workers. We need people that are garbage men, or people that are IT guys, or fill in the list. We need people that are passionate about what they do. And that's what I feel like shaped America. We had people that were passionate about the motive industry, and that's how you got Henry Ford, and you had people that are passionate about railroads or inventions and stuff like that. And that's where you see the success, when people are actually just genuinely passionate about what they do,
right,
instead of waking up and like, oh, I got to clock in today,
right,
make this $1 and then go home and do it again the next day. Like, man, that's almost like missing out on life. It's something we talked about. Like, I'm not living lavishly, but dang, do I feel like I'm living lavishly when someone comes up to me and asks me for an autograph. It makes me feel appreciative of like, man, like what I'm doing is not just affecting me, it's affecting other people. And that it feels rewarding, that I get to do what I like and other people like what I like.
Right.
So, and there's that for everybody in the world. No matter what you do, it's just finding out who you are individually and then pursue that. I think everyone's
following your dreams.
Yeah, I think everyone's dealt like a hand of cards in life, and it's up to you to like play them to the fullest.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Don't fold.
Discard
Don't fold
what needs
them.
to be discarded,
Yeah.
and you pick up a couple cards on the way, and you may be able to use them to your advantage. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that of like find what you're passionate about.
right. Well, I know you have a flight to catch tonight. So go ahead and let everybody know where they could find you on social media.
Yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram, just at TrentEbarb.com, TRENTEBARB. Very simple. That's most where you hit me at. You can find me on Facebook, same Trent Ebarb, but I hardly get on Facebook. So if you find me on Instagram, that's the best way to follow me and keep up to date on what I'm doing on my day-to-day craft.
Right. Well, again, congratulations on your 3-0 professional fight record, and congratulations on the second round TKO. Again, it was an amazing experience to be in the crowd screaming, and keep on doing what you're doing, my friend. It's very, very inspirational, and I guess the message that you conveyed is just follow your dreams, and you're not just talking it, but you're living it too. So congratulations, and I appreciate you for coming out to the Spacejumper podcast today.
Absolutely great.